So the random class is used to generate random values. This is part of the java.util package. What does that tell me? So it's not part of the lang package. So actually I need to import it this time. So importing the random class looks like this. Let's go ahead and do that. So first, let me show you what it would look like, or we'll do that after. Let's first import it. So I'm gonna import it at the top of my code. Import java.util.random. So now I'm able to use, you know, I'm able to create objects in the random class. I'm able to call the methods in the random class. Of course, the random class uses mostly instance methods, so not static. So remember from our string class, you got to declare the object first. Can't do that math trick, right, where you just use the class name. You actually have to create an object first for the random class. So if we're going to use any of these methods, we got to go first to declaring a random object. So now, unfortunately, the string class misled us. It made it seem like it was really simple, right, to declare objects in Java. Well, it turns out there's an entire different syntax that the string class doesn't follow, but that all other Java classes do follow. That's going to be this syntax right here. So if I want to declare a random object, because I want to use the random methods, I first got to declare a random object. I got to give it the random type, right? I got to tell it it's a random type here, the name of the object, and then we're going to go new random. So the syntax I know is definitely strange. So let's see what's going on here. So the syntax looks different than strings and primitives, which usually has a literal on the right side, right? It usually has some kind of value. For integers, right, a number. For double, a decimal. For string, some text. For character, just a single, character, a single symbol, letter, number. But for pretty much every other class, if you're going to declare an object in that class, you actually have to follow this syntax. So the new keyword is used when creating a new object from the class, in this case, the random class. And to actually create that, we need to use a constructor. We're not going to take a deep dive on constructors today. Just notice that the class name is the same, right? So the type is the class name. The constructor here is also using the class name. So this a little bit of symmetry there, right? You'll see that symmetry a lot when you're declaring objects in Java. So we're going to take a very brief look at constructors. Maybe I'll even take the star off of this slide. Maybe not. Um, it's going to be something we take a way deeper dive later on. Just know constructor is a special method used to create objects from a class. So combined with the new keyword, you can use constructors to create objects from any class you want. For instance methods, you do need to create an object first before calling that method. We didn't do this for the math class because we use static methods. You don't need to construct a new object, so you don't need a constructor. So we'll take a closer look at constructors and how they work in a future lesson. Just notice the syntax here. Constructor is the class name followed by parentheses. So it's kind of following that method syntax, but it has a class name. Very weird, very special method. Again, we'll take a closer look later on. All right, so now that we declared a random object, we can now use the random class methods. So I'm gonna do system. First, I'm gonna assign it to a variable here. So next int, let's go random Java doc. And then let's check out next int. Let's see how this works. So returns the next pseudo-random uniformly distributed int value from this random number generator sequence. If I go to the W3 schools again, a little bit more user-friendly. Here it is. Oh, tutorials point, also one that I highly recommend. Math.random. Oh, random is a method in the math class, so I didn't even know that. So Java is this one? Okay, I guess I have it here. Let's look up at next int. Oh, they actually kept the same definition, so not great there. Let's look at tutorials point because I actually do love tutorials point a lot. Let's check out Nextint. Ah, found something. Oh, it uses the same definition. All right, I'm just gonna break it down for you in more simple terms. Um, Basically, Nextint is gonna give you a random number. But if you pass an argument, so I'm gonna do rand. Remember, you need the object first. Nextint. If you pass an argument, you'll tell it, "Hey, I want a random number between 0 to 10." 10 is the bound. If you go to the slides, I actually have a better definition there. Nextint returns a random int, returns a random integer from 0 to the bound. Um, so that's the argument here. Inclusive and exclusive, we'll talk about that in some of the future classes, future lessons. So let's actually see what happens when I run this. So first, let's finish printing it out. System.out.println, and then random number. Again, I'm hitting tab once it suggests the variable that I'm using there, and I'm gonna hit run. So it gave me 0. Let's run it again. This time it gave me 4. Each time I run it, will give me a different number. 4 again. Sometimes, depending on when I run it, 7. 4 again. 3. 1. These random number generators actually use seeds. Seeds is kind of like how it's kind of like the starting point for generating that random sequence. The seed by default is the system time. So system time, it's kind of a variable. Um, it's basically the time, right, of day. So system time is the seed, so that's why it's able to generate different numbers each time. We're not going to talk about seeds or encryption or any of that stuff, right? But it's definitely something you can explore to better understand how it's able to do this. So it's using seeds in order to generate new numbers each time. You can actually set the seed to for this object using a different method. Let's actually see if we can find it. Seed. There you go. Set seed. This will set the seed of the random number generator using a single long seed. So it's not like a long seed like in terms of like that you plant. Again, seed is kind of like the starting point for that random number sequence. And it's a long because it can handle really, really big numbers. So let's see. I don't have to assign it to a variable. Just know that next int is returning the number. So that return is being assigned to random number. But if I want to make this code shorter, again, variables are good. They're not a bad thing. Because if I wanted to use this random number again, I could simply go back and use this variable rather than calling ran.nextInt, 50 times in my code. It's better to use a variable because the variable is going to call this method once. If I skip the variable and call the method, 10 different times, then it's not really going to be the same value. So it depends on, what you're doing. You're not always going to use a variable, but just know they are good. So let's see. I was going to get rid of the variable and show you that you can also shorten it here. What stays the same though, right, is that you do need an object to be declared first, right? So the variable name, object name, remember that's the same thing when you're declaring objects in Java. So rand is the variable name / object name. We constructed it using the random constructor and the new keyword. And then once we constructed it, once we declared that object, now we can call the methods. So you can't do something like random.nextInt. That's going to give you an error because it's not a static method. And just to show you what it would look like if we forgot the import, already giving me errors. It says class random cannot find symbol in the class main. So import methods are necessary for you to avoid those errors. Luckily, the compiler will let you know right away. So yeah, Java doc, we already took a look at that. you can use, resources online instead of the Java doc, especially if you're a beginner, right? Not gonna bump you for that or not gonna knock you for that, because you're a beginner, right? Sometimes these Java docs can be a little overwhelming to read. But the more you do it, right, the more comfortable you'll get in the future. Documentation is definitely scary, but it is a critical skill to be able to read documentation as a real professional programmer.